All right, guys, so I have some fabric here and I have them in their scraps basically. And so I'm going to choose the most high contrasting colors because that is what I need. I'm going to be using these fabrics here to cut into strips, but I'm going to choose the high contrasting colors. I'm probably going to choose about 30 out of the bunch that I have here. So when I say high contrasting, I want fabrics or the squares that corresponds with the colors in the prints here. So I'm thinking some of these will go. So for example, something like this is a little bit too light because then it's clashing with the white here. All right, so as long as it's high contrasting, I'm going to go with it. As I said, it's a scrappy one, and so these are just literally, again, a little bit too low for me. So these are just random. All right, so if you have scraps of this nature, you can just cut them down to whatever square size that you want, and then we can take it in there. So once I separate what I need, I will then put this stack against something else and use it for another project. So far so good. I'm not too concerned as to if the colors coordinate or not, but I think they go with the bunch here, so I'm not too worried about that. It is a scrappy project, but I'm using these fabrics here to bring the whole thing together. For me, I like my scrappy projects to look a little bit coordinated and a little bit planned and not so just all over the place. So for example, these two are quite similar, but I'm quite happy to work with it because I think it will work with. All right, so now that I have all of my strips here, I am just going to show you basically how to make the block. And you're simply going to start with any color you're choosing, but I'm going to start with white. So I have my strip. So you can do this two ways, which I think we're going to go really quickly, or you can just cut it to the size of the block. So you can cut size. What we're going to do is sew all the way around, and you can cut it to the strip, to the size, and just continue to sew. Or you can simply just put it on top like that, like so. Each time you add on, I think I've got two here, and then continue like so again. You get the idea. All right, all the way down to the length of the strip. It really doesn't matter either way, you still have to cut. If you have cut it in between to the length of the block, because you're making the block length as you go. So if you cut it in between, if you cut the size as they are, you don't have to trim at the end, okay? However, this way you would have to trim the block. So either way, you have to cut anyway, all right? All right, guys, so I've started making the block, and wanted to point out that the chain piecing method is the fastest way to add the strips onto the square. So just to, you know, so the block is going to get large very quickly. All right, and then once I've done that, then I'll come and show you the next twist in making this block. When you are cutting, make sure when you put your ruler right against, because obviously it's chain piece, so to make life easier for myself, I'm simply butting it against the actual strip here and then cutting it nice and straight. I mean, it's self-explanatory basically, but the important thing here is to make sure that your cut is lovely and straight, and that should ensure that your entire block is square, and that way you don't really have to square up, okay? So once I've done this, then I'm going to go back and do the final strip around the square. Alright, so now that I have all of my cuts here together, we're gonna put the, we're gonna lay it all out and get our particular pattern. Now there's several ways you can do this. You can lay it out, obviously if you put it back in its original size, you would get, so for example, if I would put all the squares back together, you will get a square back again, basically. Alright, but the only difference is that your center block will be different. All right, your center block will be different, but you'll have the same design. Okay, you can turn it upside down like so, and like so, and get this particular pattern. All right, you can also turn it that way and have that particular pattern. Again, you can turn it towards each other and that particular pattern. All right, we are going to go with this one, so but we're going to put it on point. So I've turned it so that it will go on point. So I'm going to lay it all out. I'm going to start from probably here because it's going to spread out a little bit. So I'm just trying to get an angle. Make sure it gets, I want to go across the table rather than straight. So I'm going to lay this out on point. So what I've done is chosen just 4 random ones, and I'm just laying them out on point. Excuse me. Now you can see my dilemma. I haven't really got enough space. I probably should really just go on the floor, but I have already started here and I don't really want to take it off again. So again, same thing there. You get the idea. So make your individual boxes as you go, making sure that the scrappy squares are facing each other. And then what we're going to do is fill in this way. And again, fill in, fill in. Alright, so I'm going to, hopefully you can see where I'm going. So this is the layout here. So obviously it's on point. We do need some, I'm going to need one on the side over you can't see anyway. I got these 2 bits together here, so I am going to swap that around. And what I need now is some setting triangles at the side so I can make it straight. Alright, and as well as the corners. But I think the best thing to do is to put this on the ground so you can actually get a better view. Alright, so I laid it out on the ground so that you can get a better view of the layout. And remember, this is on point, so I've also added all the setting triangles on the sides, and all I need to do basically is add the corner triangles at the top there. And so what I'm going to do now is get it all stitched together. Do remember you're sewing this in rows. So this is your first row here. So just to make sure that you comprehend, I'm just going to pull it apart. So that's your first row, and you would sew as you would normally. Yeah, so front sides together, as well as this one there. And this is your second row, including your setting triangle. And you move all the way down. Same for this row, all the way down. Alright guys, I just wanted to show you where I've done just the first corner, So as I explained before, what I did was just sew these two together, then added the corner, then added the setting triangle at the left there, and then I sewed these 3 blocks together, and then I added the corner triangle here, and then completed it with the setting triangle there. So as you can see, it is all ready, and all I'm going to do is just continue with my rows just to ensure that I stay on track. I would say ensure that you're lining up where you possibly can, just to ensure that everything goes nicely. Okay? Alright guys, so I wanted to point out something before I continued. Now when you sew yours together, i.e. add on your white background, you may find that you may get something like this. So this is where a certain triangle where it has obviously been bigger, okay? Now you need to trim all of this up. You need to decide which sort of width you're going to go with. For example, you have your nice point there. You don't want to trim all of this excess off and go really close, because we still got to add either a border onto there or finish it off and just add the binding. So I would give myself probably about to the length of here. So I'm happy, so I can see where this one is shorter and this one is longer. So I'm going to cut the whole thing along here using this edge here as my measurement, because I want to ensure that I have enough room so that when I add on my 1/4 inch for my border, or to just leave it as is and just add the binding, I do not interrupt with that point, because I still want that point to show. Now saying that, I can just simply leave myself say a 3/4 of an inch, and therefore when I cut off I will still have enough to show that point. So just to give you a decision to make for yourself, and you can decide. But either way is fine. But as long as you leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room so that you don't chop off your point like so. So I would say make sure you leave it on. Alright guys, so the table runner is completed. I must admit, this is absolutely gorgeous. I've just put it on the garden table outside so that I can just show you the finished product. What a beautiful, beautiful table runner. It looks so lovely. Really, really beautiful. I must admit, it's just, it was so wonderful and joyful making this project. Absolutely gorgeous. The quilting alone has made this for me. Those wild feathers are just fantastic, guys, and it really complements the tone of the quilt. It sits really nice and flat on the table. On the binding, I've used the same fabric there. Overall, a very quick one-day project. Very, very lovely. Remember, we started with the scraps and then in the middle. So just absolutely beautiful, guys. Really, really lovely. What do you think? I mean, this will make a really beautiful centerpiece for your Christmas table if you were to use Christmas colors. As I said, it's a one-day project, so it's going to work so quickly for you to finish this. Amazing, isn't it? Really, really beautiful. Now there's a pattern to download, and as it's Christmas, guys, I am happy to give you the pattern for only $5. Literally just $5 to make this. And yeah, you can use scraps. I just used what I had in my cupboard for my stash, literally. Very, very beautiful, guys. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give me a thumbs up for this one. I think I definitely deserve a thumbs up for this one. On the back, you can see all of the quilting, and I just did a really big leafy pattern behind, or I should say a leafy print. It looks really beautiful. I used the same color of a thread on the back for the fabric. On the front, it may look as white, but it's not white. I actually use a very light blue, so it comes off as white, but very, very beautiful. Really, really lovely, guys. I'm so pleased with the results of this. The pattern itself is very easy. If you've forgotten where the block is, this is the block here. That's it. That is the block. So beautiful, so simplistic. It's just the layout that makes this a very simplistic 5-minute quilt block that yields a beautiful table runner like this. This will make a fantastic quilt. Again, very simple. So guys, please feel free to have a go and download the pattern. As I said, it really supports the channel when you buy the pattern, and it helps me to continue to do wonderful stuff like this to show you. So once again, happy quilting, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye for now. Take care.